Hickok45 here at the compound. We're going to do a little shooting and showing today. We have a variety of firearms laid out here, and you will notice that there is one company conspicuous by its absence, namely Glock. We're not going to say the word Glock today, not even going to mention the word Glock. We have some other fine firearms on the table that we're going to talk about and demonstrate a little bit. Not going to shoot extensively with any one firearm, but we're going to talk about all of them a little and shoot all of them a little. You guys have been really good in terms of suffering through my Glock bias, and that's why I'm not going to say the word Glock today, because you guys really are good about it. Because when I compare and I do other guns and I mention that G word, you don't give me too hard a time, because I try to be objective, and you all see that for the most part, 99% of you. So I appreciate that, and this is kind of a returning the favor. I want to show you some other firearms. We're going to start with, and these are all fine firearms, really fun to shoot firearms, and good firearms. This first one is an XD-M9, the compact, 3.8. It's a brand new gun. In fact, it's not even been fired. Now this one is a T&E gun from Springfield, sent to me this week. I'd requested, and so we'll make sure it shoots today. I haven't even had a chance to shoot it, and you know, so that's a nice improvement. It just looks a lot better to me than the standard XD. So we'll see how it does. And then we have the SR9C in 9mm. Then the only caliber it comes in, I think, at this point. But that's a nice one. You've seen me shoot it. Great trigger. I've had a lot of enjoyment with that gun. And one of Ruger's finest offerings. Then you have next in the row the M&P 40C. You've seen that gun in 2 or 3 videos. We had a little bit of an issue with it, as you recall, but it's been fixed and it's repaired and ready to go again. So we'll take a few shots with it today, and then we'll do another video or 2 with that probably. So you can watch for that. Really feels good. Then at the end there, we have the Walther PPS. That's one you've not seen before. It's one many of you have recommended, and I do like it. I've just shot, I guess, 3 magazines through it. It is a surprise, I'll have to say. It feels really good. 9mm. Quite an interesting firearm. On the front row up there, we have Mr. Sig Sauer P229. You've seen him in action quite a bit. Pretty good firearm. A lot of you love the Sig. A lot of you have Sigs. Guess I do too, don't I? And that's a 40 caliber, of course. And then the HKP30 that I have borrowed from a viewer. This will be probably the last video we do with it. We'll see. And that is a 9mm HKP30. Feels really good, and I've enjoyed shooting that gun. So that's another great choice in a firearm, just as the Sig is, and Ruger and Smith & Wesson and Springfield. Then we have good old slab sides Colt ACP, 45 ACP, 1911. Good year for the 1911, isn't it? The Series 80. That's John's Series 80. Thought we'd bring one of those out too. Wouldn't want to neglect the 1911 this year, would we? Any kind of shoot like this. And then lastly, we have the Beretta, the 92FS, 9mm. We're going to take a few shots with it, talk a little bit about it. We're going to shoot each one, maybe a magazine or 2, and then I'm just going to give you kind of my impressions again of each one of them. It's kind of all of them in one video. We have done videos with several of these, and some we have not. And then several, if not most of them, we'll do more videos and show you again at various times. But we'll just get them all out for one day, one non-Glock video, and kind of celebrate these other fine firearms, because they're nothing to sneeze at, that's for sure. We all have our preferences. You might have a safe full of M&Ps, and that's your preference. But like me, you also appreciate that there are other really nice firearms. There's just maybe something about them. They don't fit your hand as well, or the trigger's not quite as, I don't know, preferable to you for whatever the reason might be. So let's start with the XD kind. Now every one of these has a loaded magazine in it with an empty chamber, and that's one reason they're pointed down range. And we're just going to take a few shots with each one. I'm just going to give you kind of a little bit of a general impression of them, and then we'll talk about each one a little bit, and then just wrap up with shooting them all probably again. But this is the XD9 XDM, pretty gun. You know, you've seen this before, and there are guns like this. This has the extra magazine that makes it a longer gun. I'll put that one in too, the other magazine. But really sweet, really sweet. Got it fully loaded. 115 grain ammo, and we're going to take a couple shots. Let's see. Now I'll have all kinds of alibis here because I'll have to figure out where each one of them shoots again, even though I'm not going to shoot them that much, but I'd like to just take a couple shots with each one. Let's see. It shoots. All right. Pretty good. Let's see if we get the gong. Get the gong test. All right. I think it'll work. I think it will work. The old XD. Many of you are very familiar with these guns. I love the Springfield insignia there. Isn't that wonderful? The cross cannons. I'd like to have a bunch of shirts with that on it, just big right in front. I always like that, always have. So XDM, we'll put it through its paces more so than in this video. We'll see if we can wear that gun out. How's that sound? So we have an empty mag. Let's just leave that empty and put it there. We got a lot of magazines, a lot of guns to stay organized. Here we have the SR9C. All right, now this is striker fired. Both of these were striker fired. That is a pretty nice trigger. It breaks pretty far back. I'd like it better. Talking about the XD again. If it broke a little bit further forward for me, I'd like it a little bit better. But that's again my large hand. But I do like a striker fired gun. You know, you all know that by now, I think. Okay, so, and this is a striker fired firearm as well. So let's put around the chamber and take a shot. Nice. All right, let's go long range. Yeah, that gun feels good. It's got such a beautiful trigger. Beautiful trigger. It, I don't know what it is about it. It breaks a little bit further forward. I like that. And it has a really sweet trigger. Now, some of y'all have messaged me and commented you wish yours had a nice trigger, which surprises me because I know the one I picked up at the NRA convention had a beautiful trigger, and so does this one. They it breaks just the way I like it. Of course, I don't mind a heavy trigger. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the trigger's heavier than you think or would like on some guns. I don't mind a heavy one as long as it breaks crisply, cleanly. So we got that. That gun is empty now. Pretty nice. 2 striker fired. And let's grab the old M&P. Now this gun is also striker fired. It's a 40. We're moving up in caliber to 40 now. Feels good. Oh, you know what I forgot to do though? I forgot to shoot the gong with the first magazine, so it's got to pass the gong test on the first round. That's all there is to it. I have to put some lead on the gong with each one of them. This gun has a really nice trigger as well. And it feels great in the hand. I mean, it just fits like a glove, I have to say. sure where I'm going. There we go. Okay. I was pulling or something. All right, we got the gong. So that one has a beautiful trigger. And it really feels good to shoot too. So nice, nice, nice. Okay, so all three of those have the striker fired. In fact, so does this one, the Walther PPS. So let's put a round in the chamber on that one. Try it. Pretty nice, pretty nice. For a gun that small and that thin, a good shooter, a really good shooter. Meant to put the mags up there, didn't do that on this one. Okay, now let's grab this baby. Now we're moving into a different realm here, of bigger guns and double action. Okay, we have second strike capability, which is important to a lot of people. Not such a big deal to me, but it's very important to some folks. 229, this is 40 caliber. We'll start out double action. I'll drop the hammer. Remember, you've got your hammer drop there. That's all about. Pretty nice, pretty nice. I have to remember I have a tendency with that gun to shoot right, which is a little bit unusual. I don't know if I was shooting right or not when I was missing the gong, but I do have that tendency, which is a little different. Okay, then we move to the HK-P30, also double action, hammer fired like that, and it also has the second strike capability. Has a decocker there, as you recall. Okay, so let's try this baby. 9mm. Let's just start out there. Not a bad little piece of hardware, is it? You've seen that in other videos. H&K P30. One thing you recall, the mag release is different on these German-made guns. You know, it's right there in the trigger guard. And just as with the PPS, you know, it's down there in the trigger guard. You just push down on that and it releases the magazine. Took me a little bit to get used to that. And at first I really didn't like that at all. And then we've got old slab sides here. Let's see, I'm not sure I know how to operate one of these. Haha. 1911. See if I remember how to shoot it. Uh-oh. That's all right. I can, oh, you know what? I cheated on this one. I knew I'd probably want to shoot it more, and I had an extra magazine in my pocket. Oh, no, I don't want to shoot that one. That's hollow points. Yeah, maybe I don't have an extra magazine. I'm going to take one from this. Okay, I'm going to hit that gong again. There we go. All right. Just had to do it. Because I know with that gun, I can stand and hit that gong every time with that gun. John's put some different grips on it since I shot it last time, but that shouldn't matter. Okay, we're down to the Beretta 92 FS. Again, double action, second strike capability, hammer fired. All right, safety right there. Hammer's cocked. Drop the safety, drops the hammer safely. Okay, different operation than any other guns out here in terms of it being up on the slide. Okay, so put one in the chamber and I got shot. Pretty nice, pretty nice. All right, gets the job done. Gets the job done. Yeah, Beretta's a good old shooter. I kind of like that gun. It's hard to miss with it some days. The Beretta and the E30 again, and the P229. You know, you have the same action. You know, where you got the kind of double to single, long first trigger pull, and the hammer. So you know, they take some work to get used to if you're accustomed to the striker fired gun exclusively, and I do prefer a striker fired firearm. And they're all different too. It really does depend on the trigger preference more than anything. That's why it's so difficult in a gun shop, as I've pointed out before. You know, you can go in there and pick up all these guns. Of course, this is pretty nice. We haven't reloaded here now because we're going to go another round. But it, you know, as I've said in my radio show, I think is where I talked about that the most. When you know, you're in a shop and you pick that up, yeah, I like that gun, that feels great. You know, and you don't want to be rude and start snapping triggers and things, and shouldn't really without permission. Until you actually fire one, you pull the trigger, and then too, even when you pull the trigger, unloaded versus loaded, you know, you get a totally different reaction sometimes. So it's tough, it really is, to get the gun that you really want that's a perfect gun. It's one reason we end up with more guns than we should, right? But these are all striker fired basically right here, and each one of those feels a little bit different, but there is a similarity. And of course you got good old 1911 there. He's different from about anything, and pretty good gun though. I think they'll probably I think that design will survive a couple of years maybe. So that's my take on these in general. These are all good guns. They're really fine guns, and I didn't necessarily you know, give you the best representation on the shooting of each one, because they all have a different feel, and you know, I shoot too fast sometimes, but I could take any one of these and I could bear down and recall where to hold, for example, on the gong or a turkey out there, and they'd all do the same thing. You know, again, see my accuracy video, every single one of them, not a spit's worth of difference in accuracy in anybody's hand standing and shooting. So that's just the truth on that. According to Hickok45, right? So fine guns, you know, the HD-M, the Beretta 92 FS, SR9C, government model, of course, the H&K P30, the M&P 40C, the PPS, the P229, and any variation of those guns, different barrel lengths, different grip lengths. You know, you can't go wrong with any of these guns. It's just that simple. Some of them are more versatile. You notice with the XD here, you have the magazine you can pop in there that, well, I think that holds 19. Yeah, I believe, and 9mm. Now, it's a new mag. I mean, this is all the first time out, first time this mag's been loaded and everything. I think it holds 19. I was really having to bear down to get even 14 in there, so I didn't fully load it. But they're new mags. But you put that one in, and you get one of these with the gun. It makes it into a much bigger gun, a 19-round gun. You know, so you get a full-size gun almost with a shorter slide. So that is a nice combination. You know, if you like the XD and the feel of it and the trigger, you know, pretty good system, isn't it? So various sizes here. I lean towards smaller guns, and again, it depends on what you're going to do with it. If you want just a range gun, my gosh, any of these would be perfect for a range gun. You start talking about for your carry permit, then you get a little more selective, and you want to spend a little more time, you know, testing them and learning about them, reading about them, and shooting them if you possibly can. So All good guns though, a little bit of difference in them. Whereas if I had 30, I wasn't going to say that word, was I? But if I have 30 of those other guns from Austria lying on the table, you know, you obviously have the same exact operation, just different sizes pretty much. Okay, so why don't we, oh, I know one thing I was going to show you, just as maybe a little bit of a piece of information. Now please, I'm not a nerd, but I do like to use this sometimes because these guns will fool you. They really will in terms of how big they are. And again, if it's a range gun, it doesn't matter to you, does it? It doesn't matter if that slide's that much thicker or that much thicker maybe. If you like the way the gun shoots, or if it's a nightstand gun, you know, it just doesn't matter. Maybe if you're a policeman and it's going to be in an outside the waistband holster, like who cares if the slide is a little bit thicker, it's just a little bit heavier, a little bit lighter, it's not a big issue. But for those who are pretty serious carriers and carry inside the waistband and struggle with the various methods of carry, and there's about 300,000, you know, of us in Tennessee, and of course across the country, I think 48 states, you know, where it's legal. It's a big issue. The thickness of the firearm. I don't have to tell you. The length of the grip. Those are big issues. Thickness of the slide or the gun, the length of the grip. The barrel too, but more so the grip, I think. And you all know what I'm talking about. So that is an issue. Now, if you think it's not, it's nerdy, sorry, but if you're carrying and you have carried a while, I've had a permit with the police department and afterwards for over 20 years now. So, you know, I'm going to address this more in future videos. There are big issues associated with that, believe me. So let me give you a little bit of insight here. Several of these are, I'm just going to give you a ballpark now. That's the thickness of the XD, for example, okay? Now, many of these guns are about the same. The M&P, you know, essentially the same. Okay, the M&P, the XD, there's just not enough difference to spit at. Okay, and what else was it? I think the H&K, and the H&K is actually a little thicker, even in the 9. So I'd open it up a little bit. It and the SIG, I know because I put it on both. They're about the same, the SIG and that. So they're pretty thick. They're thicker than the XD and the M&P. Now the M&P, you come down about a notch there. I just brought it down to that, the M&P, and the I'm sorry, the XD and the M&P are about the same. Let me verify that again. Well, actually, yeah, about the same. The rope maybe open. That might be just a tad thicker. Now the SR9C, you notice a difference. See the difference there? It's thinner, quite a bit thinner. And I believe the Colt, yeah, is in the same ballpark there. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Let me make sure I haven't opened that up now. I'm not going to do this in a scientific method, but yeah, okay, it's still there. Yeah, it's still correct. I thought maybe I'd opened it up a little bit. Look at the difference. For example, between an XD and a 1911. I don't know if you realize that, but that's the thickness issue, which can be a big factor if you're carrying inside the waistband. Now, something I discovered just before the video that surprised me. Now, this gun is famous for being known as a really thin gun, and it really is. It feels like wafer thin. And oddly thin, in fact. It just seems really thin. But look at this. Let's put the calipers on it and get squeezed in there. Okay. Yeah. I never pay attention to the actual reading. I guess it's accurate. I just mainly want to get it on there because I'm not worried about, you know, 1/10%. Okay, so I've got him right. Get my hand off of that part. All right, now, if I were to ask you how much thicker the 1911 is than this gun, you'd say, oh, about twice. I said, that's loaded. I don't need to have my hand in front of the muzzle anymore than I have to, even though there's nothing in the chamber. But watch this. It almost, in fact, it just about is the same. Just a tad bit thicker. I had to just open it just a tad. So let's put it on the 1911 and get it adjusted. Okay. There it is. Okay, 1911. Now, I'll put it back on the wall. Look at that. You see a lot of space between you? Just a little bit. Not much difference. Not much difference. That's pretty interesting to me. You may not have realized that. 1911s seem like big old guns, and they kind of are heavy if they're steel. But they're really thinner than most people realize. I discovered that. I was surprised a year or so ago when I got to messing with this, and I put the calipers on a Glock 26 or something, and realized, whoa, the 1911 is actually thinner than the small Glocks, than the 9mm and 40. So that was kind of shocking to me. But this was really surprising. That gun looks so thin, partly because the slide's so tall, I guess. But anyway, and it is thin because it's a tad thinner, not much, than the 1911, and the 1911 is fairly thin. So we don't really, I think of it that way, but it is. It has a much more narrow slide than almost any of these guns. All right. Well, not the SR9 or the Walther, but anyway, just a little added information there. No extra charge for that. Thought you might find that interesting. So if you got, say a commander size or a little bit smaller gun with an alloy frame that you trusted, maybe a ramped barrel. If I ever had an alloy frame on one of these, I'd want a ramped barrel, because I had a bad experience with that years ago. I won't say the company's name, but the ramp was alloy, and it took a beating after just 4 or 5 magazines of hollow points, and I had to have it replaced. I thought, whoa, what's wrong with that picture? So I'm not a fan of alloy frames unless there's a ramped barrel. And some of you know what that means. That's where the ramp of the ramp is actually integral with the barrel, so it fits into the feed ramp on the frame, just like some of the competition guns we used to use, so that you've got the bullets hitting steel going up into the barrel, not hitting alloy or aluminum. So that's what I would have to have. I don't know, maybe somebody's improved on that lately. So just a few random facts there I thought you might find interesting. Now let's kind of wrap this up with a little shooting here and have some fun. We have a barrel that somehow turned over there, so I guess I'll just have to shoot at the bottom of it. And we're going to put a magazine in each one of these. We already have them all loaded except this one. First, let's get all the guns situated, and then we will just have at it. Let's see. Get them all over here where I can grab them easily. All these fine firearms, and just take a few shots. This is kind of fun. I think I did this in a Glock video once. We'll start with good old 1911. Give him the honors. Let's top him off. You know what? I've got a better idea. Let's just shoot both magazines. Ha ha. Well, look what we forgot to shoot. We'll give him special privilege and shoot 2 magazines through him. He's the only one that deserves it. It's his year. All right, empty. Let's go to SR9C. All right, empty. Dead soldier. XDM9. Empty. What else we have? Beretta 92 FS. Empty. Now I'm not aiming. Don't expect too much out of me. All right. M&P 40C. All right. What else we have here? Let's grab the old H&K. I had to slow down, get my finger back far enough. All right, Beretta, or not Beretta. What is this thing? It's a SIG. Yeah. Okay. 40. Alright, this is fun. Tough work, but somebody has to do it. Alright, last one but not least, the little Walther. Oh man, that little gun's kind of neat. That is pretty much fun, I'll have to say. Woo! So we put a few holes in that. You know what I'm going to do? While I'm talking, I'm going to reload that and take another shot with it. I can never get enough shooting. Can never get enough. Yeah, I think we fixed that drum so it won't really hold water now. if it ever would, that is. Lots of pretty holes made by big bullets and little bullets. All right. Sorry, John, I couldn't resist. When I picked this up, I just wanted to take a couple more shots with it. Yeah, I think that's a keeper. That's a keeper. Whew. Well, we have a lot of empty guns here, don't we? Who's going to come out and help me clean all these? What I want to know. What a mess. What a mess. Maybe we can stick those in a dishwasher and just let it run for a couple hours. So, anyway, just thought you might like to see something, see a conglomeration, a pile of pistols that are a little bit different than what I tend to pull out quite often. It seems like I'm always comparing with that other company, that G company. But these are all nice guns, really nice guns. I have a preference, for the striker firing among these, but every single one of them is something that if you had that, you can fret over which gun to buy, what's going to be the perfect gun. You really can't make a mistake with any of those. You just can't, You just need to work with it and learn the system with that particular gun, the idiosyncrasies of it, the characteristics of the trigger, and work with it. And it'll serve you well. It really will. Depends on what your purpose is, if it's range or if it's carry. And then, that changes the whole plan there maybe. But those are all great guns. They're fun to shoot. I enjoy every single one of them. When I shoot them. So I thought you might enjoy seeing those, and I'm really glad you come out to the compound today and watch me do it and watch me play. It's really tough work, but somebody's got to do it. Life's good.